So in fact, the one of the great points of my talk, one of the points I really try to make is that humans are so infinitely variable. There are so many different kinds of people who want so many different things. If you try to make a game that satisfies everyone, you're going to end up with something very watered down. You're going to end up with what I call shooting for the middle. And shooting for the middle, it seems like a good idea, and a lot of my talk deals with the idea that there's these bell-shaped curves, standard distributions of human personality, right? That people like fantasy and people like realism, and then you distribute that the population has a 50-50 split on that, right? They have different opinions about that. And so you would think, well, we should just make a fantasy realistic, right? And then we'll get everyone, right? The thing is, it doesn't actually work that way. People buy games and are satisfied for games and are looking for games to play that satisfy their extreme motivations, the motivations that they really care about. If I interview someone and I say, hey, fantasy or realism, if there's someone who is like, I don't really get why everyone cares, right? They're not playing games for that fantasy or realism part. They're playing for some other reason. And so if you aim for the middle and try to make a game that will satisfy everyone, you're going to end up satisfying no one, most likely. Now, you can produce archetypes, like you can use, like achievements is a great example. One of the archetypes is an achiever, right? There's an achiever, but the opposite of an achiever is a contentment player. This is someone who doesn't care about your opinion, right? What do you think of them? They don't care, right? They don't want to know. They don't, and so both players can enjoy the achievement system. The achievement system that Microsoft introduced us to, right, and that now everyone uses, right, is the perfect fix for that. That hits everybody because it's optional. It's opt-in. But fantasy versus realism, that's not optional. You can't have at the beginning of your game, if you said, would you like this game to be fantasy or realistic, right? That's just wishy-washy. You're not making a statement about what your game is going to be. So at the end, I think, no, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to make a game that will satisfy everyone. I don't really think that we would want to. We like variety, right? We like different styles and different experiences. That's really what I'm interested in, right? Well, first of all, I'm a fan of many of those niche genres, right? So I participate in many of those niches. I'm a big, I was a big roguelike fan. I still am a huge I play all those roguelike games. I love the quick flash jumpy games. I'm a big fan of Congregate. So I am, and Atlas games are amazing, right? Odin Sphere is incredible. So personally, I think that they have immense value just in terms of providing alternatives. But when you look at it psychologically and you look at it through a model like the Big Five, what I find is that what those games are trying to do is just talk about just target a more specific piece of human motivation, right? Without, like you were saying before, without trying to target the big, without trying to hit every possible popular motivation. And as a result, they end up with a smaller audience, but that's okay as long as their budget and their ambition matches the audience that they're trying to build. It's providing incredible value to people with more specific, refined tastes. I think where people get confused is when they try to imagine that the niches should be as popular as the big popular genres, that somehow there's something wrong with the popular genres and that the niches are where it really should be. And that view, I think, it's a confusion that everyone is really deep down like me. If I like a niche, right, and I'm saying, no, I wish everyone would play this niche, what I'm saying is I think everyone is like me secretly, but you're like denying it or something, and that's not true. Everyone is different, right? And that's really the great, I think, the power of games is their ability to, and not just games, all entertainment, but is to hit specific people and to talk to them deeply without having to water everything down. So I love it. Sure. Well, so marketing is a completely different discipline, right? And than game design, and while it deals with a lot of the same psychological models in some ways, right? The way you approach them is completely different, because in marketing, really what you're trying to do is get people's attention. You're trying to say, hey, there's this game, right? And it's like psychological carpet bombing, right? You're like just throwing as much communication out there in the hopes that you resonate with as many people as you can. That's what marketers are trying to do, right? At least in the old model. And what games do psychologically is we develop relationships with our players. Our product is actually having a relationship with the player in some way. That player is pushing the button, and then things are happening, and then it's coming back and pushing the player's button, and then the player is going, oh, and then pushing back, and that's a relationship, right? And so we don't have the luxury of kind of doing the sort of the emotion, treating our players as though they were emotional vending machines, right? Where if we push this, then you'll give us $1.99. That model won't work because players have memory. They remember that they were manipulated, right? And they'll resent that. Resentment is a real thing. And so you can't use the same sort of marketing models as you do in game design. They're incompatible. But I think what you're really pointing at, right, is the difference between good marketing and bad marketing. Bad marketing and people who are struggling to succeed will treat human beings as though they're just those diagrams, right? And instead of understanding that these psychological models, they're just tools. They're just tools for understanding what people want. Good marketers are doing the same thing as good game designers. They're getting empathy, they're developing empathy for their audience, and then finding a way to communicate with them in a way that they can hear, and that tells them, oh, I see, yes, that is the game that I want, right? Rather than trying to beat them and convince them that they want to buy the game, right? So I think that question has a lot, in my opinion, has a lot more to do with the reality around creative voice and authorship. I felt that the audience's response was very, very strong, and that shows great passion for the product, and that was amazing, right? At the same time, the fact that they got converted into a demand to change the statement that they made at the end, I don't know that I'm down with that. I don't know that I agree with that, but I'm not talking as an industry person there. I'm just talking about me personally. As an industry person, it was fascinating, right? To watch. It was like, wow, what are they going to do next? What will happen? This is really weird, right? I've never seen anything like this before, right? And the reaction was kind of unprecedented. And I think that what it demonstrated that BioWare really wanted to have a relationship, to have an ongoing relationship with their fan base, and that at the end they felt that they had violated that trust in some way, and they wanted to do something to make up for it, right? And that's fair. I think that was a nice action that they took. So I think it was pretty, I applaud them. I think it's sad that they got into that situation in the first place. I wish that they hadn't been, the reaction hadn't been so negative. But that just speaks to fan passion, I think. Well, I mean, I've taken every personality test out there pretty much, and I know my own scores in a pretty dramatic way, right? I mean, when you talk about the classic gaming archetypes, I am an ultra achiever. I am an achievement whore. I mean, big time. I have, in every system, I'm in the top of my friends list for all of that stuff. I'm pretty competitive. I'm not strongly competitive, but I mean, in those categories talk about me as a gamer, and I can talk about my player preferences. But but in terms of real archetype, I mean, there's a reason that I chose the Dark Lord as my handle. There's a reason that I dress in all black and that right. I mean, I'm not being subtle about what archetype I think is sort of close to me. I like the villain. I like playing the villain, right? I like that sort of dark side, and it's not out of a desire to actually be that guy. It's because when you're playing the villain, like I play Warhammer 40K. I play Tyranids, the total evil army, right? The bugs that come and eat planets, right? Here's the thing: if I win, I win. And I win, and that's great, and I love that. And if I lose, who won? The good guys. And it's a great story, right? That's a great story. I love being the villain that goes down in flames. Curse you! I love that. So that I think is my archetype. I really I have embraced it for years, and I think I probably will continue to. So, great question.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.